One of the reasons why like heavily produced content is getting increasingly rare these days is because stuff that's easier to produce that either costs less money or gives you more viewer hours, right? So like doing an 8-hour stream versus like an 8-hour YouTube video is really hard, right? These things are like highly preferable to things that, you know, cost a fuck ton of money, you know, aren't broadcasted for as long.
Overwatch League, for example.
Sure. Well, no, not even. That would be like well, wait. Are you talking about something that costs a lot of money to put on, or?
Nah, they shoot for like really long periods of time. They have a very, very good streamer hours or whatever the fuck.
Okay, sure. It's the this is one of the big reasons why people seem confused for why we've moved to reality TV shows so much, right? But like it's totally obvious. It's because these things are insanely fucking cheap to shoot. They make a lot of money because people like to watch that shit. But even if your viewership is like half as much as it would be with like a Game of Thrones, you know, it's costing like 1/50th of the price or whatever to produce. Like these things are so fucking cheap. And when you're looking at serving ads on the internet, it's the same type of thing. Like if I'm gonna do a low effort broadcast for 8 hours, I can do this every single fucking day. But 8 hours of Game of Thrones is was it 10 million or 100 million? How much did they spend on that last season? It was a fuck ton of money, you know.
I think it was more than 10 million because I think
10 million.
She got 2 million in episode or something.
Yeah, wasn't it like 100 million on the last?
It has to be, maybe more.
Yeah, so it's like if you want to have these types of projects, these are always going to be passion projects. I would say that when it comes to Twitch and kind of the ecosystem we built here, and maybe things in general, what you really have is like 90% has to do with the content, and then like 10% is this added production value. Yeah. So what you described earlier, Andy, you know, taking 3 cameras and having a nice setup and you know, people actually like running a studio and shit and having a ton of people talking in a bar, that would be really interesting. That would be like really cool. But if you had like the same cool people with like 3 fucking cell phones, you would get like about the same viewership. Like it would be really close. Like all of that added production shit costs so much money, takes so much planning, makes it so you're not making as much content because you have to plan for it and then budget it. And at the end of the day, at least as far as Twitch goes, you don't really get a final product that's like so much more, you know, impressive to a lot of people, I think.
That's why I was saying for the future. I was saying like the future thing because I'm just saying like if the numbers with Twitch grew over the next 3 years to where, you know, produced content could probably bring in like maybe 5 times the amount of people. But another model that could work is say you did 1 on your own. Say I funded my own thing and I just did 1, and people loved it so much. Yeah, it's like a pilot episode. We had, say, all of us here. It was like a 3-hour scripted, like weird improv shit. And I really have always kind of like felt weird about Patreon. But if you had kind of like that built-in model built into like Twitch, to where like, yo, if you guys want to see episode 2 of this, you know, it costs $10,000 to make. We can, you know, try to raise the money over the next, like, it's kind of like a donation goal, I guess. But
yeah, startup deal, startup fund.
I think Hassan.
Wait, I have a question.
I think Hassan has a question, and then execute.
Aren't the biggest streamers still on the network? Aside from like all the streamers here, aren't the biggest streamers on the network still like normie-facing streamers for the most part? Like like people who play Fortnite for children and you know, like younger audiences on average. They still bring in like 30K a minimum, right? Every stream. Like concurrently
up there.
I don't know, all the big Fortnite streamers, Dr. Lupo,
like TSM, like all the FaZe guys.
I don't think it makes Fortnite together. Like I think Fortnite is an entirely different game. It's like,
you know,
well, no, the reason why I'm saying that is because there's still an element of Twitch, like the most successful, the most financially successful element of Twitch is still video game streamers, right? Or specifically like whatever video game is like really popular at the time. I don't know how that computes with like what you guys do or what I do as well here, which is mostly like just chatting or like variety streaming, I guess that's what the term is, right? And like the biggest variety streamers are still bringing in like, let's say 20K to 30K max, versus the biggest Fortnite streamers or video game streamers are still bringing in a lot higher numbers, right?
Yeah, but they're locked in though.
Yeah.
They
can only stream that one thing with that much viewership.
You're just saying the demographics are different.
I feel like this is relatively new, so we don't know. But what I do know if there's anything I know about Twitch or about the internet in general and content creation in the internet, is that higher production value absolutely does not mean you will get larger audiences. And because the internet is like totally different than mainstream media is very limited. Like there are only a finite amount of shows you can run versus an infinite amount of channels you can have on the internet. So the CPMs are lower, and the ad revenue that gets divided amongst all of the internet gets divided amongst an infinite amount of people or an infinite amount of content opportunities compared to like 200 channels.
You're forgetting about one thing
that comes down to, real quick, what that comes down to is exactly what Silent Mike says, that is a demographic. If you look at Fortnite streamers demographic, and honestly at this point, I think I could even mix in the Raj Patel show to what it is now and into the Fortnite demographic. And I'm not referring to the Fortnite demographic as you know, the kids. I'm referring to the Fortnite demographic as normies of everyday life goers that aren't in the gaming world. See, people like for example, this Scuff podcast, no normie that's sitting in class is going to want to watch this unless he's in the gaming community and knows who each and every one of you are. The Raj Patel show has evolved into something where a normie in class or in college or having a coffee could come onto Twitch from the Fortnite section or the Sea of Thieves section from Summit and be like, what the fuck's this show? We have, you know, 6 girls out here and we have 6 guys who's yelling, screaming. This is like a goddamn Jersey Shore of, you know, it's all hell's breaking loose. So I think it's a demographic of what content and what communities attract viewers that can enjoy it without being a part of it. And that's exactly what I think what Raj Patel's show has evolved into, and what a lot of Fortnite streamers or Sea of Thieves streamers are headed toward. It's what viewers can attract and benefit and enjoy a stream without actually being involved in the community. Someone like myself, when I'm talking to my chat, why would some random guy that has no idea who I am, no idea what my community is, no idea what the fuck is going on in the Papago world want to watch me? There is nothing appealing unless they get to know me. Now, for the Raj Patel
and
show,
even then, it's questionable.
Exactly, and so that's what we're really talking about here. There are streams out there that Joe Schmo can turn
Can I say something?
Yeah,
hold on, I've been waiting for fucking ever. I just want to say one thing. The thing is, like, if you look at how mainstream Fortnite got, and you saw like Ninja bring in Drake, and the numbers in Twitch increase, like, say, like, you guys are thinking about this production, this produced content not ever bringing in as much money. If you make something good enough where this is the one destination where you could watch it, like if you have to go to HBO Go just to watch Game of Thrones, or you have to go to Netflix to watch whatever original shows on there, if you do some produced content that could be appealing to a wide mainstream audience, and the only place you could see it on Twitch, and you blow it up so much and it's so good, you could bring in fucking, like, say 20% of the viewers are just to watch that show on Twitch. You open it up to a new thing where you're bringing a completely new stream of people in here. And I know maybe that's like a long shot to get there, but I feel like that has a chance to do it more than like, oh, I'm watching this guy stream again for 8 hours today. When you do something and you craft something and put art into it and make like a really crazy produced thing, you have the chance of that, of striking gold.
Yeah. The problem seems to be that this has already been tried.
Can XQC get a word in? He's been trying for a while. XQC.
No, it's just actually sometimes there's like a big a misunderstanding of like, oh, we want these guys to start coming in from this avenue, but then while doing that, they push the people that are there in the first place, that watch it like in the first place, right? And I feel like production value should be like only used to enhance what people care for, or why people watch in the first place, if it can enhance it. But otherwise, production value to enhance like things that people don't give a fuck about, it's useless.
Yeah, but that should be on the creator to adapt a new demographic.
Yeah, why can't it involve it?
Yeah, the New Year's Eve thing's a good example.
Yeah, it's a great example of high production value that you know, it was a total failure as far as like viewership numbers and stuff.
But that's bullshit though. That's not anything creative. I'm talking about like a creative written show.
Yeah, Raynad already did this. Raynad had like a crazy like month, didn't he?
But Raynad isn't as funny as me.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. Well, no. But you're proving my argument. That's what I'm saying. Like the massive production and shit didn't help at all. If anything, I think his viewership was lower than normal.
But that wasn't what I was talking about. The thing about Raynad is Raynad did some live shit, right? He used good cameras and he did what he did, and I thought it was cool because I haven't seen it on Twitch. But I'm talking about something that is unique, that feels like a show, but it's live. Like
yeah, it would have to focus on whatever this platform's whatever properties this platform has that differentiates it from YouTube. And one of those things is engagement. Another one is the emotes. Like as someone who's new to the platform, I learned very quickly that like emotes are incredibly important. There's a whole culture that surrounds memes, for example. There's a whole and engagement with the audience is incredibly important as well. Like these are, if you were to figure out a show that focuses on those elements, and then you increase production value, I guess, a little bit. But like the production value isn't necessarily what drives the content. It's the interaction and the drama between the streamers and the interaction between the streamers and the engagement that they have with the fans that drives the content. Like I think this content is good here on Twitch, but it thrives on Reddit, on live stream fails, and like on everyone's individual subreddits and shit. More also, so than like, any other platform I've ever been on. All right,
you guys are not saying like I'm not saying I have the actual idea yet. I'm just saying the potential for it is there, right? Like
I agree. What I think though is
hold on, let me just one thought. Like the you could have straw polls with every decision you make, what room to go in, who to talk to. If you were doing like a live murder mystery, if you were doing a live improv scene, you could have the chat be there for every part of the way with decision making. And I'm like I said, I don't have the actual creative idea, but the potential for that with a little bit of production value is there. And I don't necessarily saying
I'm with you. I'm right there with you, Andy. I totally get it because I think that right now, because streaming is still a really new technology, relatively speaking, the type of content that we have here on Twitch compared to what we will have, let's say 5, 10, 15 years into the future is going to be night and day. And I think that there's not enough people trying to approach it like that the way that you are, Andy. But I think that's because the ninjas of the world sort of make it seem, force people to think within this very narrow scope or box. Like, okay, this is how you stream on Twitch: one person, games, bedroom, etc. But I think it's interesting because you come at it from a different perspective. I'm actually kind of curious. Maybe I'm sure you've told the story 1,000 times, but I don't know. But I'd be curious to know how you got your show started, like, so, back in the day.
I'll try to make it as short as possible because I don't want to rant for an hour. I know people.
Okay, wait, on that, this is the absolute rudest thing I've ever done in my life, but I have to take off because I don't want to hear it. But I love you all.
It wasn't rude until you said that.
I'm sorry, but okay, I love you guys. Stay safe.
Destiny.
I love you, Tyler. Be careful, okay?
I love you, bro. Let's hang out.
Good luck.
Call Duty.
Okay.
See you, Destiny.
What an asshole that guy is.
I can't believe this fucking guy, dude.
I'll keep it really short. I was making a bunch of internet videos at a time. It was before YouTube and all that shit. So it was really rare to see someone make user-generated weird videos. Jimmy Kimmel found it. It went viral. He put me on his show. I moved to LA. I did travel correspondent bits for him where I would like talk to people like man on the street style. And then he brought me to MTV. We showed him a bunch of my old internet videos. They showed him the pieces that I did on Kimmel. And I got a pilot and it got picked up. It was just basically getting discovered on the internet through Jimmy Kimmel.
I think the point you brought up of Rainad actually falls into the exact point XQC made earlier about production can only go so far because some streamers they perform better, in their room by themselves, on their computer playing whatever game they play. Not all of them can adapt or adjust to the IRL world and keep that entertainment value. So I think
want to be actors
so I think XQC brought up a really good point, and I think that Raynad's situation is proof to it because Raynad, I think to this day, had probably the best quality there is to any IRL stream to this date. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so realistically, I think that proves XQC's point.
Fuck. Okay, I just want to. I'm gonna be finished, Andy. I just want to say one thing. Like, just let's say you have the Rainad setup, where like 3 camera angles, like all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good. It's like really good quality. Everything is clear. Let's say you were to go IRL with like personality, like a bunch of like personality shit, like add like soda, a bunch of people, try to interact and make genuine content with like a camera crew around. or like big cameras looking at you, like it makes the whole vibe different. It makes people interact differently.
Yeah, it would depend on the person for sure.
That's
I
why.
think.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I think too is if we use some of the money and we're just using production, but like that can mean a lot of different things. If you're just thinking fancy camera, that's one thing, like cameraman all over. But if you think about like exposure and creativity and kind of like Andy's different ideas you could build together or rent out a building or better internet or whatever it might be, I think it has a better chance to adapt because Twitch is different, and that's why it is what it is, and that's why it's growing. It's not because it's Game of Thrones. And there's always going to be a demographic to watch Game of Thrones, but some of those people might be interested in a more raw, real conversation like happens on this podcast every week or whatever. It's more, to me, about the exposure with the same creators that are creating right now rather than exposing the platform and then all of a sudden Trainwrecks is out the door and Kevin Hart little ass is bouncing around, you know? And that's what happened to YouTube, opposed to somehow Trainwrecks getting some, you know, whatever it's money or commercial time or Twitch promoting them, or in general, all of us, like even to my friends, I'm like, none of my friends know Twitch, only my one homie. And I'm like, look, dude, there's some really cool stuff, really cool communities, really creative people.
All your YouTuber friends.
Yeah, them, YouTuber friends, I mean, I don't really have that many friends, to be honest, but my YouTuber friends, real life friends, lifting friends, no one has a clue. But if they were in, you know, they think, oh, what are guys, you know, sitting there playing World of Warcraft? And oh, there are some great World of Warcraft guys. There's also great people just having podcasts. There's kind of a cup of tea for everybody on Twitch. And it's more about getting those people to even realize the platform and give it a chance, I think, than turning this into CNN.
Guys, the thing that we're not considering though, and this is really important, and I'm going to go back to the Logan Paul example for this, is that Twitch requires an unimaginable amount of work, an unimaginable amount of time that you need to spend in order to get any sort of traction on the platform. And I'm speaking from personal experience on this.